Are you in every way, woman?
We're back with male breast cancer survivor Jim Decker. Now, from the point you said your nipple turned black, you saw your GP, you were referred to a dermatologist at that point. How long did it take you to get there?
6 months.
Wow.
And the reason was that I had an appointment. And I didn't think it was that serious.
So you kept your
Because no one
appointment?
told me that it was serious. So I just assumed. So I kept the appointment.
Even with the research you were doing, you still just continued to, you needed someone to say what you thought it was, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So what happened at the dermatologist?
They did a biopsy on my nipple. It came back and it was inconclusive. But it said, go see a breast surgeon. So I made an appointment with a breast surgeon.
What went through your mind
Right,
when they
say you
told
have
you
to see
that?
a breast surgeon. Like, what was going on in your head?
I think like every other person probably in this room, I had a death sentence. The women that I have met that had breast cancer, it was horrific. And I didn't know any men that had breast cancer.
Yep.
I never read anything about men with breast cancer. So I was really in the dark as far as for me.
What was that experience like when you went to the breast cancer in the waiting? What was that experience like?
The experience was one that became even more horrific because I go into a breast cancer clinic. I walk in and I drive up and there's a valet there and we get out and the woman I live with was with me and the valet says, take good care of her.
Oh, wow.
So automatically, she's got the cancer, I don't.
Oh.
So we go upstairs, I check
How
in.
did that make you feel?
We can't say that on TV, I don't think. Not very good.
At least
Well,
Not very
how
good.
did you respond to that? You just
I responded like anybody else. It's like, okay, thank you. And, went into the building, and went upstairs and went over and I registered and took all of my information. And then we sat down. And the interesting phenomenon was that what happens is one of the aides come over and ask the woman that I'm with, would she like to take a breast cancer screening?
Wow.
Then they ask her if she would like coffee. They explain what everything was there.
To her.
Yeah. And I wasn't acknowledged.
What was going through your mind at that moment? Because you're the patient. What are you thinking? Like, forget this, I'm not going to deal with it, or?
Oh no, I was ready to drown.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Really?
it was very alienating.
Yeah.
And everything was in pink.
Oh, wow.
And it's just the way it was. And then it gets better because then the nurse comes out to get me and asks for Mrs. Decker.
Oh, my goodness.
And then that goes on. I can give you some more of that. Anyway, it took them 3 years to get to Mr. first because when I went back 2 other times, it was still Mrs.
When you stood up,
They probably
when she
marked
said
the phone.
Mrs. Decker and you stood up, do you remember what her face looked like?
Yes.
What was that? What do you think she was thinking?
Her face dropped.
Mm.
When I got up and said, me.
I'm proud of you, Jim. You didn't cuss her out.
Trust me, I could.
So what was it like for you then when you went back and saw the doctor? Did you get a mammogram?
When I went back and saw the doctor, first I saw, his nurse. She gave me a pink, very nice leather. What do you call one of those things?
Like a packet?
Packet?
And then everything in there, everything literally was women.
Wow.
There was nothing that talked about a man. The information, by the way, was very good. It really explained what the process was going to go through.
It just wasn't marketed
But
towards you.
there was nothing that said man or men. And so when I would ask the questions, and I didn't know the answers because I didn't know what a PET scan was. I didn't know what a mammogram was. I didn't know all the tests that were going to be looked at. But I could read them, and it made sense of what a woman would go through. But it's like, okay, I'm a man. I'm a little different here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know the mammogram. Do they actually do a mammogram on you?
Yes,
on
they
men?
did.
Did it hurt?
Hurt like hell.
Mm.
But it's interesting because I'm convinced that I was the first male that the technician actually saw because she didn't know what to do with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
What led you to believe she didn't know what to do? I mean, did she tell you you're my first, or it was just the way that she was treating
Maybe
you?
how she handled you.
pretty much it was the way in which I was handled.
And how was
I was
that?
a non-B. I walked in. I'm just someone that says, okay, this is what you have to do. Take your shirt off. Come over to this machine. There was no conversation. There was no explaining to me what I was going to be doing or what I was going to, have done to me.
Well, we want to hear more about your treatment and your recovery. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Sure.
We'll be right back on Every White Woman.
Are you in every way woman?